The crystal chandeliers cast dancing shadows across marble floors as Elena Martinez stepped from the limousine, her emerald dress flowing over her 7-month belly. Tonight marked the pinnacle of 4 years, building her nonprofit from a single desk to a citywide movement. The Humanitarian Achievement Award waited inside that gleaming ballroom, surrounded by 500 guests who represented everything she'd worked toward. "Mrs. Bennett, congratulations," photographers called as she navigated the red carpet, one hand protective over her growing daughter, the other clutching a small silver clutch. Business leaders, politicians, and society's elite filled the grand hall beyond those doors. Her husband Michael had promised to meet her here after his investor dinner ran late. She wanted him beside her when they announced her name. The ballroom hummed with energy. Designer gowns swirled past tuxedos as champagne flowed in string. Music floated through conversations about stock portfolios and vacation homes. Elena moved through the crowd, accepting congratulations while searching for Michael's familiar tall frame and dark hair. She pictured his proud smile when she accepted the award, imagined his hand finding hers in that moment of triumph. Then she saw him near a marble pillar toward the back. Michael stood with his arms wrapped around a woman in crimson. Not a polite greeting between colleagues. His hands rested on her waist, his face buried against her neck, her fingers tangled in his hair. They moved together like music only they could hear, completely absorbed in each other. Elena's breath caught. Her hand tightened on her clutch until the metal cut into her palm. The woman tilted her head back, laughing at something Michael whispered, and light caught her profile. Victoria Chan, Elena's former roommate from college. The woman who'd stood beside her at their wedding, who comforted her through 2 miscarriages, who came to Sunday dinners and knew every intimate detail of their marriage. The room seemed to tilt sideways. Elena reached for a nearby table, steadying herself as her heart hammered. A server appeared instantly at her side, with concern etched across his young face. "Ma'am, are you okay? Should I find someone?" "Water," she managed. "Just need water." But water couldn't fix this. Across the ballroom, Michael's hand slid lower down Victoria's back, intimate and possessive. Victoria pressed closer, her red lips curved in satisfaction, completely comfortable in another woman's husband's arms. "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer's voice boomed through speakers, "please find your seats. We're beginning our awards ceremony." The crowd shifted toward tables. Michael and Victoria finally separated, but not before he kissed her forehead with tenderness that made Elena's stomach turn. They walked in opposite directions, Victoria toward the left side of the room. Michael scanning faces with manufactured concern. He spotted Elena, and his expression transformed into what she now recognized as pure performance. The devoted husband mask. He hurried over, reaching for her hand. "There you are, darling. I've been searching everywhere. You look absolutely stunning." He leaned in to kiss her cheek. Elena stood frozen as his lips brushed her skin, the same lips that had just been on Victoria's neck. Up close, she smelled perfume on his jacket. Not her subtle lavender, something spicy and floral. Victoria's signature scent that Elena had helped her pick out 3 years ago. "Your dinner ran late," she said, her voice emerging surprisingly calm. "Investors talk endlessly. You know how it is." He placed his hand on her lower back, guiding her toward their table at the front. "But I'm here now. Wouldn't miss your moment for anything." Everything was lies. He hadn't been at any investor dinner. He'd been here, in this very ballroom, holding another woman. And Elena had caught him. But he didn't know that yet. She let him guide her forward, let him play devoted husband, let him think his deception remained intact. They sat at the head table with other honorees and foundation directors. Michael made small talk about market trends while his hand rested on Elena's shoulder, a claiming touch that said, "Look at my beautiful pregnant wife." See what a wonderful husband I am." Across the room, Victoria sat with young professionals. She caught Elena's eye and waved, smiling bright and friendly, as though she hadn't just been wrapped around a married man. Elena's husband. Elena waved back with the same gracious smile she'd perfected over years of charity events. And now, the announcer continued. "We honor someone who has transformed thousands of lives through dedication and compassion. In just 4 years, she's built a foundation providing housing, career training, and support to over 6,000 families. Please welcome this year's Humanitarian Achievement Award recipient, Elena Martinez Bennett." Applause erupted through the ballroom. People stood, cameras flashed. Michael squeezed her shoulder and kissed her temple. Every gesture perfect for the watching crowd. Elena rose carefully, her pregnant belly making movement deliberate. Her legs felt disconnected from her body, but they carried her to the stage. She climbed the steps slowly, one hand on the railing, her emerald gown flowing behind her. Spotlight found her face. Bright and hot. The foundation president handed her the crystal trophy, heavy and cold in her hands. "Thank you," Elena said into the microphone, her voice projecting steady and clear. 4 years ago, I started this foundation believing everyone deserves a chance to rebuild their life, to start fresh when things fall apart. She looked out at the sea of faces. Michael sat at the front table, pride written across his features. Behind him, Victoria watched with that same friendly smile. "I've learned that the strongest people aren't those who never fall. They're the ones who rise again, who refuse to let betrayal and pain define them, who choose to build something new instead of remaining in situations that slowly destroy their spirit." The words came from somewhere deep and true. She hadn't planned this speech. She'd written something safe about gratitude and community service. But standing here, 7 months pregnant, holding this trophy while her husband's mistress sat in the audience, different words poured out. Thank you to everyone who supported this foundation. Thank you to the families who trusted us with their stories. And thank you to those who showed me that sometimes our worst moments become doorways to our best chapters. More applause. People dabbed at their eyes, moved by words they didn't understand. Only Elena knew the truth behind each sentence. She descended the stairs and returned to her seat. Michael took her hand and squeezed it. "That was beautiful, sweetheart. I'm so incredibly proud of you." She looked at him. Really looked at this man she'd been married to for 8 years. This man whose child grew inside her body. This man who had just been holding another woman with such intimacy that it made her physically ill. "Are you?" she asked quietly. "Of course." "You're amazing, Elena." She nodded slowly, then turned her attention to the stage as the next award was announced. Her hand stayed in his, warm and alive. But something inside her chest had gone very cold and very still. The gala continued around them. Courses were served and removed. Wine flowed, though Elena only sipped water. Speeches were made, donations pledged. Michael worked the room with his usual charm, introducing Elena to business contacts and potential supporters for his company. Victoria drifted past their table at one point. "Congratulations again, Elena. Your speech was incredibly powerful." "Thank you," Elena replied evenly. "That's a stunning dress, Victoria. Michael helped me pick it out. He has wonderful taste." The words hung in the air between them, an admission disguised as a compliment. Michael's hand tightened on his wine glass, but his expression never changed. "He certainly has opinions about what looks elegant," Elena agreed. "Don't you, darling?" "Only when it comes to my wife," Michael said smoothly. "Everyone else is on their own." Victoria laughed and moved on. Michael excused himself to the restroom shortly after. Elena sat alone at the head table, a trophy reflecting chandelier light into her eyes. Her baby kicked hard, a strong jab against her ribs. She looked down at her belly, at this child who would be born in 2 months. What kind of father would Michael be? Would he slip away for secret meetings while Elena recovered from childbirth? Would he miss first steps because he was with Victoria? No. The thought came sharp and clear. No, she wouldn't allow that. This child deserved better. Elena deserved better. She reached for her small clutch and pulled out her phone, ignoring disapproving glances from people who thought phones had no place at formal events. She opened her browser and typed carefully, "Best divorce attorney near me." Michael returned to the table. "Ready to head home?" "Actually," Elena said, "I think I'll stay a bit longer. Networking opportunities, you understand." He looked surprised but pleased. "Of course, whatever you need, sweetheart. I do have an early meeting tomorrow, so I might leave soon." "Meeting with Victoria?" The words slipped out before she could stop them. Michael's face went blank for half a second. Then the mask slipped back into place. "What? Why would I have a meeting with Victoria?" "You tell me. You seem close." "She's an old friend." "Your old friend, actually." Elena smiled. "Yes, she is. Or was." She stood up, smoothing her gown over her belly. "I need to speak with some donors." "Don't wait up for me." She walked away before he could respond, her head high, her steps careful despite her pounding heart. She made her way through the crowd, accepting congratulations and making small talk. But her mind worked furiously, already planning her next moves. The spotlight moment was over. The performance had ended. Now the real work would begin. Elena didn't go home that night. She told Michael she was staying with her sister to help plan a baby shower. He barely questioned it, probably relieved to have the house to himself. Probably so he could call Victoria without worry. Instead, Elena checked into a downtown hotel suite and called someone Michael didn't know about, her college friend Rebecca, who specialized in forensic accounting. "I need you to look at something," Elena said when Rebecca arrived near midnight with her laptop. "I think my husband has been moving money." They sat at the desk while Rebecca worked through passwords and security systems. Elena had access to all their accounts. Michael had insisted on it years ago. Proof of transparency, he'd called it. Trust dot by 3 in the morning, Rebecca sat back with a low whistle. "You were right. He's been transferring money for at least 18 months. Small amounts at first, then larger sums. All going to an account under a business name, Sapphire Consulting. Who owns it?" Rebecca pulled up registration documents. "Victoria Chun." There it was. Proof in black and white. Not just an affair. Financial betrayal, too. Michael had been funneling their money into an account for his mistress. How much? Elena asked, her voice steady despite the rage building in her chest. "So far, roughly 1.8 million. But there's more. He's purchased property under this company. A downtown condo, a beach house, even a luxury car." Elena's hands clenched in her lap. 1.8 million. Enough to fund her foundation for 3 years. Instead, it had gone to set up Victoria in luxury. "Can you document everything?" "Already doing it. Every transfer, every purchase, every date and time." Rebecca looked at Elena with sympathy. "But you need a lawyer." "A really good one. I know." Elena pulled up the search results from earlier. "First thing tomorrow morning." She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she reviewed every document Rebecca prepared. Bank statements showing the pattern of transfers. Property deeds. Credit card bills for restaurants and hotels. A trail of lies stretching back 18 months. At 7 in the morning, she called the first attorney on her list. By 9, she sat in a corner office overlooking the city. "Mrs. Bennett," the attorney said, "I've reviewed what you sent over. I'm Catherine Walsh, and you have an exceptionally strong case." Catherine leaned forward, her sharp eyes focused. "Tell me about your prenuptial agreement." "We signed one before the wedding." Michael's family insisted on protecting their assets. Do you have a copy? Elena pulled it from her bag. She'd stopped at the house that morning while Michael was in the shower, retrieving documents from their safe. He never noticed Catherine read through it carefully, her expression growing more satisfied with each page. Finally, she looked up with a sharp smile. This is going to work very well in your favor. The infidelity clause is comprehensive. If your husband commits adultery, you receive 75% of all marital assets acquired during the marriage, including his company stock. Properties, investments, everything. 75%? Elena breathed. His family's attorneys were so focused on protecting premarital assets that they never imagined he'd be the unfaithful party. They assumed if anyone violated the marriage, it would be you. They made the penalty harsh to discourage you from leaving. Elena absorbed this. All those years ago, Michael's mother had insisted on the prenup, called it necessary protection. Elena had signed, hurt that they didn't trust her, but willing to prove her love wasn't about money. Now that same document would protect her. What about the foundation? Elena asked. We built it together, but most funding came from my grandmother's inheritance. That makes it yours. Inherited assets used for charitable purposes aren't community property. The foundation is yours, free and custody. Catherine's expression softened. That's more complex. He's the father. But given the financial misconduct and the affair, I can argue for primary custody with supervised visitation until he proves stability. They talked for 2 more hours. Catherine explained the process, the timeline, what to expect. She told Elena to go home and act normal while they prepared the filing. Don't let him know you know, Catherine warned. The element of surprise is crucial. Let him think everything is fine. Elena went home. Michael sat in his office on the phone with someone, laughing about something. He waved when he saw her, but didn't pause his conversation. She went upstairs to their bedroom and looked around at this space, where he'd lied to her night after night. Her phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. Had so much fun seeing you last night. We should get lunch soon. Miss you, friend. Elena stared at the message, rage burning in her throat. The audacity to act like they were still friends while sleeping with her husband. She typed back, would love that. How about next week? Victoria's response came immediately. Perfect. I'll text you some dates. Elena set the phone down and looked at her reflection in the dresser mirror. Pregnant, tired, but not broken. Not defeated. She was done being the trusting wife. Now she would be the one in control. Over the next 3 weeks, Elena became a detective. She photographed documents when Michael left his office unlocked. She recorded conversations where he lied about his whereabouts. She tracked his location through the family sharing app on his phone, which he'd forgotten was activated. She discovered that every Tuesday and Thursday evening when he claimed he was at the gym, he was actually at the downtown condo, Victoria's condo, the one he bought with their money. She found hotel receipts for weekend getaways when he'd claimed business trips. She found jewelry receipts for pieces she'd never received, birthday and anniversary gifts meant for someone else, purchased with marital funds. One afternoon while Michael played golf, Elena sat in their home office and methodically photographed every relevant document. Bank statements, contracts, emails he'd left open on his computer. Her phone camera clicked dozens of times. Each image was another piece of evidence Michael never suspected. He came home cheerful, kissed her belly, asked about her day. At dinner, he discussed expanding his commercial real estate company. At night, he held her carefully, mindful of her pregnancy. The perfect husband. I've been thinking, he said one evening. After the baby comes, maybe we could take a family vacation. Somewhere tropical. Just the 3 of us. That sounds nice, Elena replied, cutting her chicken into neat pieces. Where were you thinking? Maybe Hawaii. Whatever you think is best. He smiled and squeezed her hand. I love you, Elena. You know that, right? I know what you tell me, she said quietly. He didn't catch the distinction. He never did. He was too confident in his deception, too certain she would never question him. Victoria met her for lunch on a Wednesday at a trendy cafe downtown. They sat surrounded by young professionals on their breaks. Victoria ordered wine and a salad. Elena stuck with water and soup. You're glowing, Victoria said. Pregnancy suits you beautifully. Thank you. How's work? Busy but exciting. I might be getting promoted soon. My boss has been really supportive lately. Elena knew Victoria's boss was Michael's golf partner. Another connection. Another thread in the web of lies. That's wonderful, Elena said. You deserve it. How's your personal life? Anyone special? For just a second, something flickered across Victoria's face. Triumph? Smugness? I'm seeing someone. It's new. Very new. I'm not ready to talk about it yet. I understand, Elena said. When you're ready, I'd love to hear about him. They finished lunch. Victoria hugged her goodbye, and Elena let herself be held by the woman who was destroying her marriage. She even smiled. Back in her car, Elena's hands shook. She gripped the steering wheel until the shaking stopped. Then she called Catherine. I have everything, she said. Every piece of evidence we need. Good, Catherine replied. Come to my office tomorrow morning. We'll file Friday at 9. That night, Elena cooked Michael's favorite meal steak, roasted vegetables, homemade bread. She set the table with candles and their wedding china. She put on a dress he'd once said he loved. What's all this? He asked when he came home. I just wanted to do something nice. We've both been so busy. He kissed her, long and slow. Have I told you lately how much I appreciate you? You could stand to say it more often. He laughed. Fair enough. You're incredible, Elena. The best thing that ever happened to me. They ate dinner. He talked about a new property development his company was pursuing. She asked interested questions and made supportive comments. The devoted wife. The perfect partner. After dinner, they sat on the couch together. Michael rubbed her swollen feet while they watched a movie. His hands were gentle, practiced. She wondered if he touched Victoria the same way. I should travel less after the baby comes, he said. Be home more, be present. That would be nice. You'll be an amazing mother. Our daughter is so lucky to have you. Elena looked at him. This man she'd loved for so long. This man who had promised to honor her, to be faithful, to build a life with her. This man who had broken every vow while smiling in her face. Michael, she said quietly. Yes? Do you love me? He looked surprised. Of course I do. Why would you ask that? Just wondering. Sometimes I forget. He pulled her close, careful of her belly. I'll try to remind you more often. You're everything to me, Elena. Don't ever doubt that. She rested against him, feeling his heartbeat against her cheek. Steady, strong, built on lies. I won't, she said. I won't doubt it anymore. And she meant it. She didn't doubt anymore. She knew exactly what he was dot, and on Friday morning, he would know that she knew. Thursday morning arrived cold and clear. Elena woke beside Michael, his arm draped over her hip, his breathing deep and even. She lay still for a moment, not memorizing the closeness, but memorizing how easily someone could lie while holding you. She slipped out of bed carefully. Michael stirred but didn't wake. Downstairs, she made coffee and toast, the same breakfast routine they'd shared for 8 years. When he came down 30 minutes later, freshly showered and dressed for work, everything looked normal. Big day? She asked, handing him his coffee exactly how he liked it. Board meeting at 10. Should be interesting. We're discussing the expansion plans. He kissed her forehead. What about you? Doctor's appointment at 2. Just a routine checkup. Want me to come? You're busy. I'll be fine. He looked relieved. Text me after. Let me know what the doctor says. Of course. He left at 8, briefcase in hand, phone already pressed to his ear. Through the window, Elena watched his car disappear down their tree-lined street. Then she went upstairs to his office. She'd been through his files dozens of times over the past 3 weeks. But today, she needed something specific. Michael kept a locked drawer in his desk, one he thought she didn't know about. She'd found the key weeks ago, taped under a false bottom in his pencil holder. Inside the drawer were documents, more evidence, more proof. But also something new. A small velvet box from an expensive jeweler. Elena opened it. A diamond necklace sparkled inside, delicate and beautiful. There was a card tucked beneath it. For V, happy anniversary. 3 perfect years together. Alana's hand trembled. Anniversary. They'd been having an affair for 3 years, not 18 months. That meant it started when she was working 80-hour weeks to get her foundation established. When she came home exhausted and fell asleep on the couch. When Michael complained about feeling neglected, she photographed the necklace and card, then put everything back exactly as she'd found it. Locked the drawer. Replaced the key. Her doctor's appointment was real, but she had time before that. At 9:30, she met with Catherine at her office. The attorney had assembled a team, 2 paralegals and a forensic accountant. We're filing tomorrow at 9 in the morning, Catherine said. I want to walk you through exactly what will happen. They spent an hour reviewing every detail: the divorce petition, the restraining order preventing Michael from accessing joint accounts, the motion for emergency custody, the documentation of financial misconduct. He'll be served at his office, Catherine explained. We'll have someone waiting outside the board meeting. The moment it ends, he'll get the papers. Maximum impact. Won't that seem harsh? Elena asked. Catherine's expression hardened. He stole nearly $2 million from you to support his mistress. He lied to you for 3 years. He made you doubt your own worth while planning a future with someone else. No, Elena, this isn't harsh. This is justice. Elena nodded. She was done being understanding, done making excuses for him. Her doctor's appointment went smoothly. The baby was healthy, growing perfectly on schedule. A girl, just as they'd known. Due in 8 weeks. How are you feeling emotionally? Her doctor asked. Any unusual stress? I'm managing, Elena said. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. Pregnancy, preparing for a baby, all the changes coming. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need support. Elena promised she would, but her stress had nothing to do with normal pregnancy concerns. Her stress came from dismantling her entire life while pretending nothing was wrong. That evening, she cooked dinner as usual. Michael came home at 6, loosening his tie. How was the board meeting? She asked. Excellent. They loved the expansion proposal. Everyone's excited about moving forward. He talked through dinner about contracts and projections, animated and energized. Completely at ease. After dinner, he went to his office to make calls. Elena cleaned up, loading the dishwasher with methodical precision. Each plate, each glass, each piece of silverware. Everything in its proper place, one last time. She heard him through the door, his voice low and warm. No, she doesn't suspect anything. I know, baby. I know. Soon, I promise. Just a few more months. Once the baby comes and things settle down, yes. Tuesday night works perfectly. I'll tell her I have a late meeting. Elena closed her eyes and breathed. In through her nose. Out through her mouth. Tomorrow. Just make it until tomorrow. She dried her hands and went upstairs. In the nursery, she looked at the crib they'd assembled together. the rocking chair where she planned to nurse her daughter, the mobile with soft animals that played a gentle lullaby. Her daughter would grow up knowing the truth, that her mother chose strength over comfort, that her mother refused to accept lies and betrayal, that her mother valued herself enough to walk away from someone who didn't treasure her. Michael found her there an hour later. "You okay?" "Just thinking about the future." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, his hands resting on her belly. "It's going to be amazing, I promise. Our little family. What if things don't work out the way you planned?" "What do you mean?" "What if life surprises you?" "What if life surprises you? Changes direction when you least expect it?" He laughed softly. "Then we'll adapt. That's what families do. We'll figure it out together." She leaned back against him one last time. Tomorrow she would walk away from this. From him. From all the lies and broken promises. But tonight, for these last few hours, she let herself mourn what she thought they had. Friday morning, Elena woke at 5. She dressed quietly while Michael still slept, then loaded her car with essentials, clothes, documents, personal items. She'd arranged for movers to come next week for the rest, but she wanted her important things with her when she left. She went back inside one final time. Michael was stirring. "Where are you going so early?" he asked grudgingly. "Breakfast with my sister. Planning the baby shower, remember?" "Oh, right. What time will you be back?" "Not sure. Might make a day of it." He kissed her goodbye, barely awake. "Have fun. Love you." "Goodbye, Michael." If he noticed she said goodbye instead of love you too, he didn't mention it. He was already reaching for his phone, probably to text. Elena drove to the hotel where she'd stayed 3 weeks ago. She checked into a suite and carried her things inside. At 8:30, she called Catherine. "I'm ready. File it. Consider it done. The process server is already in position outside his building." Elena sat by the window, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Michael sat in his glass-walled office, completely unaware that his life was about to explode. Somewhere out there, Victoria was probably planning what to wear for their Tuesday meeting. They had no idea what was coming. At 10:15, Catherine called. "It's done. He's been served. My assistant says he looks absolutely shocked." Elena closed her eyes. It was over. The pretending, the lying, the fake normalcy. Everything was about to change. And for the first time in weeks, she felt like she could breathe. Michael called 17 times in the first hour. Elena didn't answer. She sat in her hotel suite, phone buzzing relentlessly on the table beside her, and watched it light up with each call. After the calls came texts. First confused. "What's going on? Call me." Then angry. "This is insane. We need to talk right now." Then desperate. "Please, Elena, just talk to me. We can fix this." She read each one and deleted it. Catherine had been clear no contact except through lawyers. Anything she said could be used to show reconciliation attempts, could weaken her case. She wasn't uncertain. For the first time in 3 years, she knew exactly what she was doing. Her phone rang again. This time, Victoria. Elena declined the call. 2 minutes later, a text appeared. "Elena, Michael called me freaking out." "What's happening? Are you okay?" The audacity. Even now, Victoria was pretending to be the concerned friend instead of the other woman. Elena typed a response. "I'm fine. Better than fine. Michael knows where to find me through his attorney." She blocked the number before Victoria could reply. By noon, she had 37 missed calls and 62 text messages. Some from Michael, some from Victoria, some from Michael's mother, who'd apparently been informed and had opinions about ungrateful wives and family reputation. Elena ordered room service and turned off her phone. She sat by the window eating pasta and salad while the city moved below her. People going about their regular Friday, unaware that someone's life had just been torn apart and rebuilt in the same morning. At 2, someone knocked on her door. Elena looked through the peephole and saw hotel security. "Mrs. Bennett, there's a gentleman in the lobby asking for you. Says it's urgent. We told him we can't give out room numbers, but he's quite insistent. Tell him I'm not available. And if he won't leave, call the police." The guard nodded. "Yes, ma'am. We'll handle it." 20 minutes later, Catherine called. "Michael showed up at my office. Had to have security escort him out. He's not handling this well." "What did he say?" "The usual. This is all a misunderstanding. You're not thinking clearly. Pregnancy hormones are making you irrational. He loves you. He'd never betray you. Blah, blah, blah." "Did you show him the evidence?" "Every single photo. Every bank statement. Every property deed." His face was something to see. Catherine's voice held satisfaction. "He tried to claim the money was for business purposes. When I pointed out the account belonged to Victoria Chun, he got very quiet. What's his next move? He'll lawyer up, probably by Monday. But Elena, you need to understand something. The prenup is airtight. He has no way out of this. Best case scenario for him, he walks away with 25% of marital assets. Worst case, we prove financial fraud and he gets even less." "Good," Elena said quietly. After she hung up, Elena finally turned her phone back on. 114 notifications. She scrolled through them all. Michael's messages had progressed from anger to bargaining. "I made mistakes, but we can work through this. Think about our daughter. She needs her father. You're throwing away 8 years over one mistake. One mistake. As if 3 years of systematic lying and cheating was a single error. As if stealing merely 2 million was an oops." She deleted everything and opened a new message to her sister, the only person besides Catherine who knew what was happening. "It's done. I'm at the Grandview Hotel, Suite 412. Can you come?" Her sister Gabriella arrived 30 minutes later with wine for herself and sparkling cider for Elena. She pulled Elena into a fierce hug. "I can't believe he actually did this. I mean, I can't, but I can't." They sat on the couch together. Gabriella opened her wine and poured Elena's cider into a champagne flute. "Tell me everything. Don't leave out a single detail." The divorce proceedings moved swiftly. Michael hired an expensive attorney who tried every tactic claiming Elena was unstable, that she'd kidnapped herself and the baby, that the evidence was fabricated. But Catherine dismantled each argument with documented proof and witness testimony. The judge ruled in Elena's favor on every motion. 75% of marital assets. Primary custody. Emergency support payments of $20,000 monthly until the divorce. Finalized. Michael's face went gray in the courtroom. His empire was crumbling, and everyone could see it. The story leaked to the press. Within days, headlines screamed about billionaire betrayal and stolen millions. Michael's company's stock plummeted. His board called emergency meetings. 3 major investors pulled out. Elena received messages from people she hadn't heard from in years. Some supportive, others nosy. She ignored most of them, but there was one message she couldn't ignore from Victoria. "Please call me. I need to explain. This isn't what it looks like." Elena stared at the message for a long time. Part of her wanted to respond, to ask what exactly it looked like if not deliberate betrayal. But Victoria didn't deserve an explanation. Didn't deserve closure. She forwarded the message to Catherine with a note. "More evidence of contact. She's trying to manipulate me." 6 weeks after filing, Elena went into labor. Her daughter arrived healthy and beautiful at 7:42 in the morning. Ruth Marie, named after her grandmother. Michael's attorney filed an emergency motion for visitation rights. He wanted to see his daughter, even though he was by then under investigation for fraud. The judge denied his request. Given the pending criminal charges and the patent of deception, supervised visitation will be considered only after resolution of all legal matters. Elena held Ruth in her hospital room and felt overwhelming gratitude. Her daughter would never know the pain of her father's betrayal because Elena had chosen to walk away. Over the next months, Michael's life continued to collapse. Federal charges were filed: wire fraud, embezzlement, money laundering. His company declared bankruptcy. His properties were sold to cover debts. Victoria fled the city, trying to disappear, but lawsuits followed her everywhere. Meanwhile, Elena rebuilt. She used her divorce settlement to expand the foundation, creating programs specifically for women leaving toxic relationships. Job, training, housing assistance, legal support, everything she'd needed and more. The foundation purchased a small apartment building, renovating it into transitional housing for 20 families. They partnered with local businesses to create pathways to financial independence. The work consumed Elena, but in a good way. She felt purposeful again. Like her pain had meaning if she could use it to help others. Ruth came to the office every day. Staff took turns holding her during meetings. She became the foundation's unofficial mascot. When Ruth was 9 months old, Elena published a book about her experience, not a tell-all about Michael, but a guide for women rebuilding their lives after betrayal. It became a bestseller. The royalties went to the foundation. One afternoon at a construction site for the foundation's third housing building, Elena met Adrian Wright, the architect on the project. He was kind, honest, and transparent in ways Michael had never been. "I grew up in housing like this," Adrian told her. "My mother left my father when I was 5. These programs saved us." Over months, Elena and Adrian grew close. He never rushed her, never pushed. He showed up consistently and proved through actions, not words, that he was different. When Ruth turned 2, Adrian moved in not as a rescue, but as a partner. They were building something together, based on honesty and choice. Michael remained in prison, serving a 15-year sentence. He'd voluntarily terminated his parental rights, rather than owe child support he couldn't pay. Elena told herself she'd explain it to Ruth one day when she was older. For now, Ruth knew only love and stability and truth. 5 years after the divorce, Elena stood at a foundation gala full circle from that terrible night when she discovered the affair. But this time, she stood at the podium with confidence and joy instead of shock and pain. 5 years ago, I stood on a stage and gave a speech about rebuilding, she told the crowd. I didn't know then what that would mean. I thought I'd lost everything. She looked at Adrian and Ruth in the front row. But I learned that sometimes what looks like an ending is actually a beginning. That you can lose everything and still have everything that matters. That the best response to betrayal isn't destruction, it's creation. The audience applauded. But Elena only saw Ruth and Adrian, her real family, cheering for her. After the gala, they went home to their apartment, their home full of love and laughter and truth. Ruth fell asleep in Adrian's arms while he carried her to bed. Elena tucked her in, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "We did it, sweetheart. We really did it." 7 years after discovering Michael's betrayal at the gala, Elena stood in the foundation's headquarters, looking at a wall covered with photos. Hundreds of faces, women and children whose lives had been transformed. Single mothers who'd found careers. Women who'd left abuse and started businesses. Families who'd rebuilt in safe housing. Ruth, now 9 years old, stood beside her. "Mama, why do you help all these people?" Elena knelt down to her daughter's level. "Because everyone deserves a second chance, baby. Everyone deserves to know they're worth more than someone else's lies. Is that what happened to you?" Elena had told Ruth age-appropriate versions of the story over the years. How her birth father had made bad choices. How Elena had chosen to walk away and build something better. How sometimes love means loving yourself enough to leave. Yes, Elena said honestly. Someone I trusted broke that trust. But instead of staying and accepting it, I chose to leave and build something new. And look what happened. She gestured at the wall of photos. All these people found the courage to do the same thing. To choose themselves. To start over. Ruth nodded seriously. You're brave, Mama. I'm not brave, sweetheart. I just decided I was worth fighting for. That evening, after Ruth went to bed, Elena sat with Adrian on their balcony, overlooking the city. Do you ever regret how things happened? He asked. The public nature of it all? The way it exploded? Elena thought about it. No, because if I'd handled it privately, stayed quiet, tried to protect his reputation, I might have doubted myself. Might have wondered if I'd overreacted. The truth needed air. And all those women who reached out, who told me my story, gave them courage to leave their own situations that wouldn't have happened if I'd kept silent. She looked at Adrian. Besides, I didn't destroy Michael. He destroyed himself. I just refused to go down with him. That's the part people don't understand, Adrian said. You didn't seek revenge. You sought justice and built something good from the ashes. Exactly. Revenge would have been about him. But I didn't want my life to be about him anymore. I wanted it to be about me, about Ruth, about all the women who needed to see that survival was possible. The foundation had helped over 2,000 families by then. They'd expanded to 4 cities. Elena's model was being replicated nationwide. She'd written 3 books. She spoke at conferences around the world. But her proudest accomplishment was Ruth-kind, confident, secure in her mother's love and Adrian's presence. A child who would grow up understanding that love shouldn't hurt, that trust should be earned, that walking away from toxicity was strength, not weakness. Michael had been released from prison the previous year after serving 10 years. Elena heard he was living in another state, working construction, still paying off debts that would follow him for life. She felt nothing when she heard the news. Not satisfaction, not sadness, nothing. He was simply irrelevant to her life now. Victoria had disappeared entirely. Last Elena heard, she'd moved overseas, trying to outrun her reputation. Do you think they ever understood what they lost? Adrian asked. I don't know, Elena said honestly. And I don't care. My life isn't about making them regret their choices. It's about building something so meaningful that their betrayal becomes just a footnote in my origin story. She looked out at the city lights. Somewhere in those buildings were women in their housing program, sleeping safely. Women in job training, building futures. Women starting businesses, leaving toxic relationships, choosing themselves. All because Elena had chosen herself first. That's what I want Ruth to understand, Elena continued. That the strongest thing you can do isn't staying in something that hurts you. It's having the courage to walk away and build something better. The best revenge isn't destruction. It's creation. It's living so well that the person who hurt you becomes completely irrelevant to your happiness. Adrian took her hand. You didn't just survive, Elena. You transformed pain into purpose. That's not common. That's extraordinary. She smiled. I had help. From you, from Gabriella, from Catherine, from everyone who believed I deserved better. But you had to believe it first, he reminded her. You had to decide you were worth saving. That was the truth, Elena realized. All the support in the world wouldn't have mattered if she hadn't first decided. She deserved better than lies and betrayal. Later that night, Elena checked on Ruth one final time. Her daughter slept peacefully, surrounded by books and toys and evidence of a childhood filled with security and love. Elena sat in the rocking chair and thought about that woman 7 years ago pregnant, betrayed, terrified. That woman who'd stood in a spotlight, holding a trophy while her world crumbled around. She wanted to tell that woman, "You're going to be okay. Better than okay. You're going to take this pain and build something beautiful. You're going to help thousands of people. You're going to find real love. You're going to raise an amazing daughter who knows her worth. The betrayal won't define you." Your response to it will. Elena stood and kissed Ruth's forehead one more time. Sweet dreams, baby. Tomorrow we keep building. Tomorrow and every day after that. The moral. The truest measure of strength isn't enduring pain, but having the courage to walk away from it. The best response to betrayal isn't revenge or destruction. It's choosing yourself, protecting your peace, and building something so meaningful that the person who hurt you becomes irrelevant to your happiness. Real victory comes not from making others suffer for their choices, but from living so fully and purposefully that their absence becomes a blessing rather than a wound. When you transform your pain into purpose and your struggle into service for others, you don't just survive betrayal, you transcend it completely.